My name is Anna, and I live off-grid with my husband Ryan, our rescue dogs, and our chickens. This is the story of our life on 5 acres in the middle of nowhere and everything we've accomplished since we moved here a little over 2 years ago. In 2017, I quit my job in New York City, traveled around Asia for a few months to soul search, and converted a van into a camper. I quickly fell in love with life on the road and decided to make it more permanent. So I had my van remodeled to accommodate full-time, long-term living and hit the road again. While I was traveling, I met Ryan. We caravaned around the United States together in our separate vans and fell deeply in love and in sync with one another, and began looking for somewhere to put down roots. In September of 2020, we bought a small, fixer-upper house on 5 acres. Ryan traded his van for a truck, and we moved to our remote house in the high deserts of Colorado overlooking the Rockies. The first thing we tackled when we arrived was installing a solar electric system, so that we could have a reliable power source. We mounted our panels on a ground rack to make them easier to maintain and adjust seasonally. We made sure to include a very large battery bank in an insulated shed for those cloudy days when the sun isn't shining. Then we slowly started working on getting appliances to make our lives easier, and various renovation projects around the house. Before we knew it, it was winter, and we quickly figured out that winters would be cold and long at 8,800 feet of elevation. We tried to lean into winter since there's not a lot of progress to be made in the snow. Ryan proposed on a winter hike, and we adopted a second puppy. We live in an area where wild horses roam freely, so we decided to fence in a portion of our land around our house to keep our dogs in and horses out. When spring rolled around, we made our first attempt at planting fruit trees and bushes, but the dogs and the full exposure to the sun destroyed them all. So we started growing food in a hydroponic vertical garden, and once that became an incredible success, we got a second one. We tried our hands at raised bed gardening, but we didn't have a lot of success. Our biggest gardening challenge is water. We are off the water grid and we have to haul our water from a nearby community well. Therefore, getting water is a bit of a time-consuming and energy-intensive task. Plus, we have to pay for every gallon. So we decided to focus our energy on hydroponic vertical gardening, since it consumes 90% less water than traditional gardening. It also solved our second problem, which is that we struggle with getting too much sun exposure to our plants being at such high elevation with very low tree coverage. Fortunately, the farm stand by Lettuce Grow has blown us away with its capabilities. We now have one located in our small greenhouse and one inside our house. We've successfully grown large produce like tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, strawberries, and every leafy green you can imagine. This year, we planted a new variety of more mature apple trees, and this time we planted them strategically in a fenced-in area away from the dogs and with partial shade from some of the existing trees on our land and our house. Eventually, we plan to expand our garden to a large outdoor greenhouse and an orchard so that we can become more self-sufficient in regards to growing our own food. This year, we also started raising chickens in hopes of producing our own eggs. We wanted to start small to get the hang of it before raising a larger flock in the future. For now, we have 4 chickens that we got at a few days old and watched as they've grown over the months. We've built them a coop, an enclosed chicken run, and a large fenced-in area where they can roam around free range. We are slowly learning all about them and their needs as we go. We installed a washing machine in order to simplify the process of cleaning our clothes, which meant we needed to build a gray water collection system. After 2 tries, we finally worked out a system that functions properly with a natural reed bed filtration setup that allows us to recapture the laundry water and use it on our fruit trees. We also developed a rainwater collection system to help supplement our water supply. And we are now creating our own compost from our food waste, which we have used in our garden and on our houseplants. We wanted to find a way to share our land with others and generate some extra income, so we started building a little glampground. We built a deck for a bell tent, which we furnished and tried to make as cozy as possible to host guests.
The sun rose over the valley for the first time in a while. It feels like a new dawn is breaking, and I'm free to laugh.
We even built an outdoor bathroom.
Is this what it feels like to be right where you're meant to be? This is a new beginning. Yeah, this is just a start. We won't forget this feeling, but wait for the best part. Like the world resumed turning, like everything's gonna change, and we can stop all the yearning and just exist in today. Is this what it feels like to be right on time? It's a new beginning. Yeah, this is just the start. The best part.
To be honest, we had hoped and planned to be much further along in the development of our land, raising animals, and the renovations of our house 2 years into this off-grid living journey. But during this time, our focus has been on multiple things, like getting married. We also decided to sell my van and buy a larger shuttle bus camper to travel in. We spent some time fixing and upgrading the bus to meet our needs.
Stars and planets align,
And then we spent 5 months on the road traveling across the country to visit family and escape winter off-grid.
This is a new beginning, yeah.
I I also spent almost a month rafting on the Colorado River this summer while Ryan was working on renovations at my mom's cabin in Arizona. So our projects got put on pause yet again. Then one day this summer, 5 puppies showed up on our land unexpectedly. We ended up fostering them all for 2 months and then eventually decided to adopt 2 of them. So now we have 4 dogs. We've also both had other jobs off and on in the meantime, which have slowed us down in regards to progress on our farmstead. But in the end, we moved out here to the middle of nowhere to live a slower, simpler life. A life that affords us the time and space to do more of what we love and learn new skills. And we are well on our way to accomplishing those goals. I hope that this video can inspire you to pursue your own dreams, whatever they may be. But also, give yourself permission to let your dreams evolve as you go. And grant yourself the space to loosen up on whatever rigid timeline you might be holding yourself to. Don't wait for someone to be on your page to start living the life you want to be living either. You are capable of much more than you might think.